This spring, we hiked the Narrows with our family when we went to go rent the equipment to hike it, because it was in the springtime, so we had to get those suits that you can wear in the water. They gave us like 20 or 30 minutes of a mandatory video that you had to watch in order to be safe in the Narrows. I was thinking back on my experience with skydiving with Emily, that we got instruction on that process for like an hour at least. All these waivers you had to sign, like they wanted you to understand, yes, you're gonna have so much fun doing this thing, and here are all the risks, and here are the things we need you to do perfectly obediently so that you can enjoy falling from the sky. That's sort of, I think, what the Lord is teaching us when he talks about where much is given, much is required. He knows that there is great joy, just the same way that those guides knew that there was great joy in the Narrows, and the skydiving instructor knew that there was great joy falling out of that plane. But in order for that joy to happen, we had to follow his boundaries. This week you're going to learn in the verses that he gives commandments so that you know how to act and how your actions can actually guide you towards eternal glory. And so I wanted to demonstrate that. You could do this with almost anything that's semi-dangerous. You know, like you might talk about a pocket knife. If you're teaching your kids at your house, you might pull out a pocket knife and talk about the first time you got a pocket knife that somebody probably helped you. Maybe if you want to tie this to Pioneer Day, you could teach your kids how to whittle and talk about the dangers of holding a knife in your hands and what are the precautions you take and what's built into the knife to help keep you safe, and talk about that process of, there's always an introductory phase where you learn how to handle power well, because the power actually leads to joy only if it's handled well. And one of my favorite ways to teach this is to make matchstick rockets. So basically this is a way to make a very tiny, I mean, it's a teeny tiny amount of fire that propels a rocket about 20 or 30 feet, sometimes 10 feet. It depends on how far you shoot it. You're basically making little teeny rockets out of tinfoil. They look like this. If you have, it's sold like at a Home Depot kind of store. It has a paper backing on the back, and it's used to put ductwork together. It's not duct tape. It's not sticky the same way duct tape is. But if you can find this in a roll at your Home Depot, that's easier to make your little fins with. But you also could do it with just tinfoil and duct tape, and you can pull it off. The printable that I give you actually has a template so that you can make 1,000,000 of these little rockets. Inside each of these little tinfoil rockets is a match. So you want to get a box of matches like this, and you're actually going to just cut off the tips of those, because when you light your rocket from the outside, you heat it up enough, that little match inside explodes and it causes it to shoot off your skewer and head out maybe 15 feet or so. They're not super dangerous. They never caught fire for us or anything, but you do want to understand that these get very hot. So if you go to like pick one up, understand that the foil is going to be hot for a couple minutes. So, you know, shoot a bunch off and then go gather them back up, and you can put another match head in there and shoot them off again. But I'm hoping it gives you a chance to talk to your kids about the joy that God wants to give you and the accountability that you have to keep things safe. As you teach your kids how to make these little matchstick rockets, you're going to talk to them about safety precautions and why we fold it up exactly as how the instructions say, and why we're careful with things where we point the skewer, and how we do things to give ourselves the best opportunity for joy. And relate that back to the commandments, because that's essentially what the commandments are. They're a way for you to guide your actions so that you can access the greatest joy possible. There are amazing things that God wants you to experience both in this life and in the life to come. And in order for you to actually experience those in a fullness of joy, you got to keep his commandments. They keep you safe, they protect you from danger, and they also give you a chance to launch things much further than you could on your own. So I think in this ridiculous object lesson, you actually see all of those things.